Hello students, welcome back. So from this chapter we have covered the two parts, two parts of the chapter. That the first one is the electrochemical cells, second one we have seen the electrolysis part. Now this is the third part of the chapter, that is the electrolytic conduction. Okay, so let's see, but as the name suggests, electrolytic conduction. So we're going to talk about the electricity and how that electricity, you can say, getting transferred. Okay, so we'll talk about conductors and insulators, how flow of electricity is taking place. So let's see. We know that the substances which allow the current to pass through it, or which allow electricity to pass through it, are known as conductors. Okay, so let's see. Conductors and insulators. Okay, conductors, we know that these are the substances. It's very simple, you know from your junior classes also. Substances which allow flow of current are known as conductors. Substances which do not allow the flow of current. Fine. So which allow the flow of current, they are known as conductors. Which do not allow, they are known as insulators. So conductors, on the basis of this flow of current, there are of two types. One is electrolytic and one is electronic. Electronic or metallic. Okay. So on passing electricity, if decomposition is taking place, like we know that when we pass electricity, then decomposition takes place. Fine. So in electrolytic conduction means, this is what we are talking about, electrolytes. And we know that electrolytes are those substances which get breakdown in the presence of electricity. They provide ions. So on providing electricity, on passing current, decomposition takes place. Decomposition takes place. But in this case, no decomposition. This is the difference, main difference. No decomposition takes place. Like metals, they do not get decomposed. Yes, like graphite, it do not get decomposed, but it conducts electricity. So it's an electronic conductor or metallic conductor. Generally because metals are there in this. So metals, they do not get decomposed. But electrolytes, they get decomposed. So that's why they are under electrolytic conductors. So now let's see the further division. So we can say that electrolytic conductors are those which on passing current gets decomposed, but electronic conductors are those which do not get decomposed on passing electric current. Further we'll classify, and let's see both the things, let's see the difference that we are saying, electronic and electrolytic. Here the conduction is due to flow of what? Flow of electrons, and here flow of ions. Okay, this is also the difference. Then electrolytes, we know electrolytic conduct. This is again, electrolytes can be classified, we know that, into strong and weak. Strong and weak electrolyte can say undergo complete dissociation. That is alpha is equal to 1, but it do not undergo where partial dissociation or not complete. So alpha is not equal to 1. Example, you know, all the acids and bases. Acids, bases, then salts. All strong acids and bases. Here also weak acid, like this. All they are weak electrolytes. Okay, and the substances like sugar, urea, they do not conduct electricity. Do not conduct electricity. Fine. So let's see the factors affecting electrolytic conduction. What are the different factors which affects, because finally we have to focus on this electrolytic conduction, not this electronic. Fine. But the difference was important, that's why we have seen the difference. Now let's see the factors affecting it. Okay. Factors affecting it. First is nature of electrolyte. Nature of electrolyte, whether you can say strong or weak. Weak electrolyte, because we know that strong electrolyte undergo complete dissociation, so weak electrolyte undergoes partial or less than that, so it will affect accordingly. Then we can say that nature of the solvent. Nature of the solvent means here that electrolyte will be soluble only in the, you can say, polar solvent. Okay. Solvent should be of higher polarity, as it's the electrolyte, which is the ionic one, higher polarity. So more the polarity, more is the solubility. Third one is concentration of the solution. And then the next one is the temperature. So we'll see one by one. Temperature. So on increasing the concentration, conduction decreases. Why it decreases, that we have to see. Okay, because see, if we are increasing the concentration, it means the concentration of the ions are increasing, and we are saying conduction is decreasing. Because in case of weak electrolyte, it's not gets completely dissociated, it will remain in their undissociated form only. So if the concentration is already high, it's not able to dissociate, so in that case the conduction will be low. And in case of strong electrolyte, which completely gets dissociated, but at higher concentration, you can say the ions, they are closer to each other at higher concentration. They are not able to separate properly. Although it is a strong electrolyte, but it will not be able to provide complete ions in case of high concentration. Okay, so this is the reason. So you can say that on increasing concentration, conduction increases. On dilution, it increases. Conduction increases. So we'll see again in detail. Fine. Then temperature. If we increase the temperature, then conduction will increase. Okay. Temperature is directly proportional to conduction, because the dissociation will increase. As dissociation will increase, that's why the conduction will increase. Okay, more and more dissociation takes place in when we increase the temperature, because forces just start getting, you can say, forces will that we need to break the interaction, so that interaction will start getting broken. Okay, so it will start so before you can say that with respect to this, these are the certain factors, but alternatively if we'll see, it also depends upon the another factors, that is the interactions between the different types. Let's see alternatively what are the other factors. First is interionic interactions. That is the attractions between the solute and the solvent. There is an interaction between the solute and the solvent, so that need to break. So that are interionic. Inter means within. Second is solvation of ions. Solvation of ions. That is the interaction between the two solvent molecules. That is solvent-solvent interaction. Sorry, interionic is between solute and solute. Sorry. Attraction between the two solute molecules. Solvation of ions is interaction between the solvent molecule and solute molecule. Okay, solvation of ions means that particular ion is coming in contact with the solvent. Okay, ions of the solute and the solvent, they are coming in contact. Interionic, that is within, so that is, this is between the two solute. Okay, third is viscosity. Viscosity, no, it is a property of the liquid, so it is between the two solvent molecules. If the viscosity will be more, then we need more energy to break the interaction. More energy is required, so interaction between the two solvent molecules. That's why we were saying in case of weak electrolyte and strong electrolyte. So let's see now that factor. That conduction one. So conduction increases with dilution. Fine. Why? Because in case of weak electrolyte and strong electrolyte, here ionization is incomplete. If concentration will be more, then you just see, then it will not be able to ionize completely. So when we have to dilute, then only it will start ionizing. So this is the reason for weak electrolyte. And for strong electrolyte, at high concentration, you can say at high concentration, interionic, that we have discussed now, interionic interactions will be more. Although it is strong, but it will be more. So we need energy. So that's why when we dilute, so then only it will dissociate completely. Okay, here it is not that much complete, but here it will be complete when we dilute. That's why conduction increases with dilution in both the cases. This is about conduction. Fine. Now we'll see the different basic terms related to conduction. Let's start with that. Basic terms involved in electrolytic conduction. Okay, so let's see. As we know that every substance offers resistance to the flow of current. We know that resistance is there. We have studied in physics from in 10th standard also and 11th also, that every substance offers resistance to the flow of current. It will obstruct it so that the current should not flow throughout the substance. So according to Ohm's law, we know that Ohm's law, that current is voltage applied to the substance is directly proportional to the current. This we know. So when you remove this proportionality sign, then R will come and I. R we know that it is a resistance. Fine. So resistance is equal to what? V by I. We know that we measured in volts. Current we measure in amperes. So volt by ampere is ohm. Unit of R is ohm. Fine. Now let's see the next term. that is the conductance. Now what is conductance? Conductance, see, we have seen the conductors. Conductors are the substances which allow the current to pass through it. So conductance is the property of the conductors. Okay, that you can say ability to allow the current to flow through it. Okay, it's the ability of a conductor to allow the current to flow through it. Let's see mathematically, that is very, very important. Mathematically, the conductance is represented by capital G. Okay, it is represented by capital G. So let's see. Here we'll be seeing, you'll be observing so many formulas are there. So conductance, it is represented by G, and mathematically it is the reciprocal of resistance. Okay, it's opposite. Mathematically, conductance is the reciprocal of resistance. So what is the unit of then? G is unit, that is ohm inverse. Ohm inverse, or you can say ohm inverse is also known as Siemens, or you can also write backward, that is mho. Okay, anything we can write, it's ohm inverse, that is conductance. Fine. Now let's see the next one. Now we know that, we'll see the next term. Okay, this is the first one, conductance. Second is specific resistance or resistivity, which is represented by rho. This is known as rho. Okay, rho. Okay, this is a symbol for density also, rho. Okay. So we know that resistance of a conductor is directly proportional to the length of the conductor and inversely proportional to the area of cross section of the conductor. Fine. So R is directly proportional to L by A. When you will remove this proportionality sign, then the constant will come rho L by A. This rho is known as resistivity or specific resistance. Okay, this rho is known as what? This is the formula where rho is known as specific resistance or resistivity. Let's see its units. Okay. So units are important, the formulas are important. So let's see its units. R is equal to, sorry, what is rho from here? Rho is R, A by L. Resistance is ohm. A is what? Area of cross section is centimeter square. Its area length is centimeter. This will get cancelled out. So we're left with the ohm centimeter. So ohm centimeter is the unit of the rho. That is the specific resistance. Okay, so specific resistance is equal to what? Rho RA by L. Now let's see the next term. I hope the terms are clear to you. It's very easy because in physics also you are using all these terms. Fine. Third term is conductivity. Okay, we have seen the conductance, we have seen the resistance now. Resistivity we have seen. So now we'll see the conductance. Conductance we have seen, sorry. That's conductivity. So let's see the conductivity. Or specific conductance. Conductivity or specific conductance which is known as, sorry, which is represented by, this is the third term, represented by kappa. This is not K, okay, don't make it like this, like this, K, it's not K, it's kappa, okay, put one line and then C. So it is known as kappa. Okay, it's a unit of specific conductance. Fine, so put one vertical line and then draw C. Don't write K, it's not K. Okay, again I am drawing here vertical line, then C, it's kappa. Okay, so let's see how to derive the expression for kappa. So we have seen the expression for resistivity, that is L by A. Fine, now take reciprocal of this. Reciprocal of this expression. What you will get, 1 by R is equal to 1 by rho, then A by L. Got it? 1 by R we know that it is conductance represented by G. 1 by rho we know, it's now 1 by rho is known as kappa. That is conductivity. That is reciprocal of resistivity. See, reciprocal of conductance is known as, reciprocal of resistance is known as conductance. Reciprocal of resistivity is known as conductivity. That is reciprocal of specific resistance is known as specific conductance. It's one and the same thing. So it's kappa A by L. So this is the, and if you will further modify it, you will get kappa is equal to G L by A. Now we'll introduce this. What is L by A? So let's see. Now for every cell, the term L by A, that is the length of the conductor and the area of cross section of the conductor, is different. Okay, for every conductor, the length for every conductor, length and area of cross section, they are different. Okay, and difficult to measure, it's not accurate. So we'll take the L by A ratio. This ratio is constant for each and every cell. This is constant for each and every cell, that is conductor, every cell, which is known as cell constant. L by A is known as cell constant. So let's take this expression, R is equal to rho L by A. So L by A cell constant is represented as G star. Okay, so R is equal to rho G star. Okay, when we have taken the reciprocal of this, then you will get the, this 1 by R is what? Conductance G. This is kappa and G star. So what is the relationship between kappa? This is the relationship between, we can say, kappa and the cell constant. So kappa is equal to, G star. That is the kappa is equal to product of conductance and cell constant. Kappa is the conductivity, that is the specific conductance is the product of conductance and cell constant. Fine, the cell constant is having different value for the different cells. Why we are saying cell? Because here the conductor that we are talking about, we are taking in the terms of the cell. Okay. So let's see the next part, next term, molar conductivity. Okay, this is the last term, molar conductivity, but we have not seen the units of kappa. Let's see the units of kappa. Okay, kappa is what? Product of G and G star. G is what? Conductance. Conductance unit is only ohm inverse, and G star is L by A. 1 by R, L by A. R is this is ohm inverse, and L is centimeter, area is centimeter square, will get cancelled out, so you will left with the unit of ohm inverse, centimeter inverse. Or you can say that kappa is equal to Siemens centimeter inverse. So these are the units of kappa. Now we'll see the last term, molar conductivity. So what is the molar conductivity? Let's see that. Relationships also we have seen. Okay. So last term is your molar conductivity. Conductivity we have seen. So molar conductivity, as we are using the term molar, so it is for 1 mole. It's obvious. Molar conductivity is represented by, this is your delta. See, 1 delta, you know sorry, this is not your delta, this is lambda. 1 lambda, you know, this lambda is a wavelength. This is a small letter. You know, small letters and capital letters are there in ABC. Small a, small b. This is small, this is capital. Similarly, here also in Greek letters, small and big one is there. So this is small is your lambda and this capital is your conductivity. Okay, molar conductivity. This is a big one. So this is a difference. Molar conductivity is represented by lambda m. M represents molar. Okay. So let's how to define this. So molar conductivity of a solution, it is defined as the conductance of the solution at dilution produced from the 1 mole of electrolyte. 1 mole of the electrolyte dissolved in V centimeter cube of solution. Okay, V centimeter cube of the solution. When the electrodes are, this is a condition, when the electrodes are 1 centimeter apart, with the area of cross section of the electrodes and the area of cross section of the electrodes is so large, that's why we are saying it is a cell, is so large that the whole solution is contained between them. Fine. So let's see. Let's have a look on the molar conductivity, or you can say simple, the conductance produced by 1 mole of the electrolyte, or produced by all the ions of the 1 mole of the electrolyte. So that's why we are saying conductance of the solution at dilution. Why dilution? Because at dilution all the ions, they are far apart. We have diluted, or no forces of interactions are there. Produced from 1 mole of the electrolyte dissolved in V centimeter cube of the solution, where the electrodes are 1 centimeter apart and the area of cross section of the electrode is so large that the whole solution is contained between them, like that. If you take the cube, so here the volume is this 1 centimeter. Okay, 1 centimeter cross section area also. Square, 1 centimeter square. So now let's see mathematically relationship between the conductivity and the specific conductivity. Mathematically, what is this? Molar conductivity. What is the formula for this? Mathematically, molar conductivity is kappa by C. That is the ratio of kappa is what? Conductivity or specific conductance divided by concentration into 1000. This 1000 we are considering the factor when C is in centimeter cube. So accordingly we have to see. Otherwise it's kappa by C. Or you can say it is also the product of kappa into V. Why it is kappa into V? We know that number of moles is what? Concentration is what? Number of moles divided by volume. Okay, so can we say that V is equal to N by C? So that's why we have written here. Kappa by C, if you put here N by C, you will get this formula only. Fine, or if you put here, you will get this formula. So here N, we are saying N is 1 because it's for 1 mole of electrolyte. So N is 1 here, so that's why they both are related. So this formula you have to apply for the molar conductivity. Fine, now what you have to do, here the concentration that we have taken, concentration we are referring the molarity here. Okay, because this is the preferred concentration for the solutions and all. So molarity will take. So accordingly the unit of molarity will come. So let's see the units of molar conductivity. Kappa is what? Unit of kappa were ohm inverse, centimeter inverse. Concentration is now moles per liter. So we have to take in centimeter cube then. So what are the units of molar conductivity? Ohm inverse, centimeter square. This will get cancel with this. Ohm inverse, centimeter square per mole. These are the units of molar conductivity. Okay, that is ohm inverse mole, sorry, centimeter square per mole, or you can say that Simon centimeter square per mole, or Siemens centimeter square per mole. So any one you can write, because ohm inverse we know that it is also known as Siemens. So this is about mathematical form of molar conductivity. Now whatever terms we have introduced, conductance, conductivity, conductance, specific conductance, then resistance, then conductivity, specific conductance, specific resistance, then molar conductivity, they all are related. And now we have to solve the numericals on the basis of all these formulas. So all the formulas are very, very important. Fine. So this you have to keep in mind. So in the next class we'll come with the numericals of this. Okay. Till then, thank you and have a nice day.